Hello everyone. In this video we're going to talk about parameters. Parameters are commonly used in any CAD software and also in Autodesk Inventor. We actually used parameters in the previous videos a few times, and we're going to be using them frequently in the following videos of this tutorial, and they're very helpful. That it helps you save a lot of time, and especially if you're dealing with complicated geometries, complicated designs, parameters are commonly used. In a lot of tutorials, they just talk about parameters, like, here's what you do, here's what you can do, but they don't really talk about, the real life applications of it. So in this video, we're also going to give some examples on that too. So you're looking at the home screen of Autodesk Inventor. Let's go ahead and create a part. And in the part mode, we're going to create a sketch. Start 2D sketch, click on XY plane, drag it to the left bottom, right click, 2-point rectangle, start from the origin point, create a rectangle, click OK, get out of the command. And then right click, general dimension, and let's dimension this length, this line here, let's call it 100 millimeters, and then zoom out. And then general dimension for the height, let's call it 50 millimeters, half of the length. So it's 100 millimeter long, 50 millimeter high. So what I did here is I manually dimensioned it, and now it is fully constrained, fully defined geometry in the sketch. But what I can also do is when I click on this 50 millimeters, I can actually use this length as a reference, which is something we mentioned in the previous videos. In that case, you will be using parameters. So I'm going to exit from that. And if you go to the top side of the screen, you will see that parameters button is available in the quick access toolbar. If you click on that, you'll see that parameters in the parameters window, under model parameters, this might be not expanded, so expand that to be able to see it. It recorded the dimensions we assigned for the length and the height, and it assigned parameter names, and it called it D0. D stands for dimension, D0 and D1. So now it says that D0 is consumed by sketch 1, which is the sketch we're creating. So it just recorded the dimensions we assigned, and it just assigned a parameter name, which is just a random name. If I create another dimension, it's going to call it D2. And sometimes there are designs with hundreds of these, and it just keeps track of everything you're doing, and it is assigning a name. So you can use this as a reference. You can, just like working with an Excel sheet, you can work with equations to save time. I don't know, a lot of people know Excel, obviously. So in Excel, you can manually enter every value. You can manually calculate everything, but you don't do that, right? You just click on one value and you say, I want this value to be half of that value, or I want that to be, just like subtracted from this other value. We use equations just like that. In parameters window, you can do the same thing. So let's just click done and get out of that. So for example, if I say this is the same value with this, see, it assigned D0. So now this is going to change to 100 millimeters because I clicked on that dimension, and now it is using that parameter to use here. So now it is a square, basically, because now height is the same dimension with the length. And every time I change this value, this will automatically change. So if I call this 80 millimeters, now this automatically changed. That way I don't have to manually dimension everything, especially if I'm dealing with a very complicated design. I don't want to change certain values. I want them to update according to the value I'm changing. In this case, it saves me a lot of time. So now let's go back to the parameters and see this D0 is using D1. This is so D is consumed by D1. So D0 is 80 millimeters, which is what I updated, and D1 is D0. D1 equals to 0 because basically D1 was this height. Now, whatever I changed D0 to, so which I changed it to 80 millimeters, now D1 is going to be the same value. This is all it does. So let's go back to, say, call this 100 millimeters, and now this changed to 100 millimeters. Let's this time do this. Let's say this height is half of 100 millimeters. So let's call it D0 divided by 2. Now, notice that the function fx appeared here, which was also there when I clicked on 100 millimeters, when I clicked on length to use it as a reference. Now, whenever I change this value, for example, again, let's change it to 60 this time. Now, this is automatically half of the length, half of the dimension I assigned. So if I go back to parameters, I see that my D0 value is 60 millimeters and my D1 value is half of D0. So this UL means unitless because it's just divided by 2 and that 2 doesn't have a unit. So that's why Inventor assigns a, generic unit to it, which is unitless, and that's what it stands for. Now it just kept recording the changes I'm making in a more intelligent way to save me time. Also, I can just come here and in this edit dimension text box, I can also use, for example, I can call this length. I can text length, and then I can hit space, equal space. I didn't even have to hit space. I could have just done this. Now I assigned a name for this. Now the 60 millimeter is my length. I didn't want it to call it D0 or something. I wanted to call length. So I'm just going to click OK. Let's go back to the parameters menu. Now it assigned the name, parameter name length for the 60 millimeters. So in the future, I don't want to just like go back and click. I just want to type length. I can just go ahead and do that. I want this dimension here. I want this length here to be like 3 times the length value that I assigned. I can just use that by just typing it. A lot of times, sometimes I designed some parts, for example, for customers that they required so many different variations of the parts, and they need a 10 feet version of it and 15 feet version of it, 20 feet version of it. So I didn't design every one of them from scratch. I designed the base model and then I assigned these parameters. And when they asked for a different variation of it, I just changed the parameters. I said, okay, this one is just going to be twice the size of that. This is just going to be half the length of that. And but when I changed those values, it automatically created the variation of that model. So I was able to provide that design in less than a few minutes instead of spending like minutes on that design. So by doing that, for example, when I went in and changed the edit parameter name, it assigned it here. But I can do the same thing here as well. In the parameter name, this D1 was my height. I can say height. Now I changed it. That now the height is half of the length. So now let's click OK, and let's go back to height. Now notice that it updated the name of the dimension as height, which is length divided by 2. And you can do these equations, of course, by clicking on it, and then you can also do the same thing in the equation under the equation column as well. So for example, I want this length to be, divided by 3 to get height. So I can change that. When I click OK, it will automatically update it. Now it is 20 millimeters, which is 60 divided by 3. So this is just it's a quick example of the parameters. You don't have to remember all of this because just know that everything you're dimensioning, every value you're assigning, everything is recorded under the parameters window. And when you're dealing with like simple design, this is not, you're not gonna just visit this window a lot, but when you deal with complicated geometries, you're going to use the parameters. Just know that they're there. In the future, we will be using them, and sometimes we will be exporting them, or maybe we create values in an Excel sheet and we import all those parameters. Like I said, I think that that project was about a ladder, but I designed phone cases, for example. I designed complicated sheet metal brackets and for some equipment. And in this case, like I said, I had to design hundreds of different versions of it, and I didn't have to design it 100 times just by manually changing the values. I just went into parameters window and I just change the values. And I said, update this, and everything updated accordingly, because once I updated my reference value, everything is just in equations. So that all those equations updated accordingly, and my end product was created in less than seconds. Because you did the work once, why would you repeat that? Why would you do it 100 times? And I created those hundreds of parts in a really short time. That saved me a lot of time, and I was able to meet the deadline and deliver all those files and deliver all those parts in a very short time, which was, of course, satisfying for the customer, and they were able to get ahead of their deadline, and finish the project on time. And we will be using parameters frequently in the future videos. So and by the way, before I go to the next video, I wanted to thank everyone who subscribed so far and who watched the videos, and means so much. And this is just the beginning. I think this is our 18th video. We will have many more. And if you started watching this tutorial from the beginning, I'm sure you're going to enjoy the rest of the tutorial as well. And I hope to make many more videos and really go into details of Autodesk Inventor, and also using a CAD software to design a product and bring our ideas to life. Thank you very much. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for liking or commenting on the video. Thank you.